I parked the car in my driveway. The 3-day business trip was over. The presentation for the architectural project had been a success. But right now, there was something more important than that. I couldn't wait to see my 7-year-old son Daniel. My husband James was also away on a different business trip. As a doctor, he was attending a medical conference. So I had left our son with my mother-in-law Margaret. I opened the front door. "Daniel? I'm home." No answer. I set my luggage on the floor. "Daniel?" It was too quiet. My heart started racing. I looked in the living room. No one there. I looked in the kitchen. Empty. "Daniel!" My voice trembled. As I started to go upstairs, I heard a faint sound from the backyard. The sound of something being dragged. I ran to the backyard. I opened the back door. And I froze. The doghouse. My son Daniel was inside the doghouse. His small body curled up, sitting in front of a dog bowl. Dog food in the bowl. Daniel was bringing dog food to his mouth with trembling hands. His clothes were dirty. His hair was a mess. Tear stains on his face. My feet wouldn't move. I couldn't breathe. This is a nightmare. I have to wake up. But even when I opened my eyes, the scene didn't change. "Daniel." My voice came out hoarse. Daniel looked at me. His eyes were completely red. "Mommy!" I ran. I dropped to my knees in front of the doghouse. "Daniel! What are you doing here?" I tried to hug my son. Daniel backed away. I'm dirty. Grandma said I can't touch you when I'm dirty." Tears rolled down my cheeks. I didn't know if they were my tears or my son's tears. "Come here. Come here right now." I embraced Daniel. His small body was trembling. "What happened? Why are you here?" Daniel started crying. Grandma said I'm not real family." My blood ran cold. "What?" She said. "Blood is thicker than water." She said, "I don't belong in the house." She said I have to sleep here. Like a dog. Because I'm not. I'm not a real Carter. My son's voice broke off. I looked at my son. No injuries. But the fear reflected in his eyes. That ran deeper than any injury. "Daniel, listen to me. You are real family. You're my son. You belong with me." But Grandma said. I don't care what she said. I heard footsteps. The sound of the back door opening. I turned around. My mother-in-law Margaret was standing there. She was smiling. A perfect smile. A smile as if nothing had happened. "Oh, Emily. Welcome back. How was your trip?" I stood up. I hid Daniel behind my back. "What did you do to my son?" Margaret tilted her head. "Do? I made the perfect room for him. Look. The doghouse is so cozy." She laughed. A cold laugh. My fists clenched. "You put him in a doghouse?" "Well, yes. He's not real family, is he?" "He's adopted. Blood is thicker than water, Emily. You should know that." My teeth clenched. "He's 7 years old." "Exactly. Old enough to learn the truth. He's not a Carter. He's just a stray you picked up 3 years ago." Margaret laughed again. He needs to know his place. I took a deep breath. I have to stay calm. For Daniel's sake. We're leaving. Good. Take that thing with you. He's been nothing but trouble anyway. I gripped Daniel's hand. Let's go home, baby. But Mom, this is not home. Our home is somewhere else. Let's go. We started walking. Margaret shouted from behind. You're making a mistake, Emily. Blood is everything. Everything. I didn't look back. We reached the car. I put Daniel in the back seat. I buckled his seatbelt. My hands were shaking. I didn't know if it was anger or fear. I got in the car. I started the engine. I looked at Daniel in the rearview mirror. My son was looking out the window. The tears wouldn't stop. I took a deep breath. And I made a decision. She will pay for this. I don't know how. But she will pay. I started driving. Margaret's house got smaller in the distance. But my anger kept growing bigger and bigger. I took Daniel to the hospital. The emergency room. A doctor came into the examination room. Mrs. Carter? Yes. I'm Dr. Williams. Let me examine Daniel. The doctor examined Daniel. Took his temperature. Took his blood pressure. Listened with a stethoscope. Daniel sat quietly. His eyes were vacant. 5 minutes later. He's dehydrated. Malnourished. How long was he in that condition? My throat tightened. 3 days. The doctor's face clouded. 3 days? Where was he? In a doghouse. My mother-in-law put him there. A doghouse? Yes. She made him eat dog food. She told him he's not real family because he's adopted. The doctor put down his pen. Mrs. Carter, this is child abuse. You need to report this to the police. I will. Immediately. I'll document everything. His condition, the dehydration, the psychological trauma. This is serious. I nodded. My hands were shaking. But now I have to be strong. For Daniel's sake. After leaving the hospital, I headed to the police station. I explained at the reception desk. 10 minutes later, a detective appeared. Mrs. Carter? I'm Detective Harris. Please, come with me. We went into a private room. I told him everything. The doghouse. The dog food. Margaret's words. Blood is thicker than water. That child is not family. The detective took notes. We'll investigate. Do you have any photos? I took out my phone. Daniel in front of the doghouse. Dirty clothes. The dog bowl. Dog food. The detective's face hardened. This is disturbing. We'll visit Mrs. Margaret Carter today. Thank you. But in my heart, I knew. The police alone wouldn't be enough. Margaret is smart. She'll make excuses. It was just play. It was a misunderstanding. That's what she'll say. I needed a more powerful weapon. The next day, I called a private investigator. The detective agency. A small office. Photos of past cases on the walls. A man stood up. In his 50s. Sharp eyes. Mrs. Carter? Richard Blake. I sat down. My hands were trembling. I need your help. Tell me everything. I took a deep breath. My mother-in-law put my son in a doghouse. For 3 days. She made him eat dog food. The detective's face hardened. Jesus. How old is your son? 7. And she did this because he's adopted. She said blood is thicker than water. She said he's not real family. The detective put down his pen. Your mother-in-law, she's obsessed with bloodlines? Yes. She preaches about family values everywhere. Church, community events, charity dinners. She's perfect in public, but a monster in private. Exactly. The detective leaned forward. Mrs. Carter, in my 20 years as an investigator, I've learned something. People who are obsessed with something, they're usually hiding the opposite. My heart started racing. What do you mean? People obsessed with purity often hide impurity. People obsessed with bloodlines often have secrets about their own blood. You think she's hiding something? I know she is. Nobody preaches that hard unless they're compensating. I leaned forward. Find it. I don't care what it costs. I don't care how long it takes. Find her secret. The detective smiled. A cold smile. Oh, I will. And when I do, she's going to wish she'd been kinder to that little boy. 2 weeks passed. My phone rang. It was the detective. Mrs. Carter? Did you find something? Oh, I found something. Come to my office. You need to see this in person. I'm on my way. 30 minutes later. The detective agency. The detective spread documents on the table. Old documents. They were yellowed. I sat down. What is this? The detective took a deep breath. Mrs. Carter. Your mother-in-law is adopted. Time stopped. What? Margaret Carter. Born Margaret O'Brien, March 15, 1960. Mother, Mary O'Brien, single parent. Father, unknown. He pointed at the documents. She was adopted by the Carter family. On June 3, 1967. She was 7 years old. My hands trembled. 7? The same age as Daniel? Exactly. She's been hiding this? For 58 years. Nobody knows. Not the church. Not her friends. Not even her own son. I stared at the documents. Blood is thicker than water. She's been lying her whole life. Preaching about real family, while hiding that she's adopted. My teeth clenched. She hated herself so much that she took it out on my son. Classic projection. She sees herself in Daniel, and she can't stand it. The detective took out the next document. There's more. I found her original birth certificate. Mary O'Brien was 16 when Margaret was born. Single mother. Living in poverty. And look at this. He showed me an old newspaper article. 1967, local newspaper. Carter family adopts orphan girl. They made it public back then. But Margaret erased it. Changed her narrative. Became Margaret Carter, born into the family. I looked at all the documents. Adoption records. birth certificate, newspaper articles, old photos. 7-year-old Margaret, in a tattered dress, in front of the courthouse with the Carters. The detective took out the last document. And this is the photo from her adoption day. I looked at the photo. 7-year-old Margaret. Her eyes were empty. She wasn't smiling. She looks terrified. She was an orphan, taken in by strangers. She probably felt like she didn't belong. So she spent 58 years trying to prove she did. By attacking anyone who reminded her of herself. I stood up. Can I get copies of everything? Already prepared. He handed me an envelope. How much do I owe you? My standard rate. $5,000. I wrote a check. Handed it to him. Thank you, Mr. Blake. Mrs. Carter. What are you going to do with this? I gripped the envelope. I smiled. A cold smile. She loves to preach about blood and family. Let's see how she feels. When 40 people learn the truth. The detective smiled. Good luck. And give that little boy a hug from me. I will. I left the office. I gripped the envelope. Inside this envelope is Margaret's life. Everything she's been hiding. That night, I told my husband James everything. Video call. James was still on his business trip. Emily, what are you saying? My mother is adopted? Yes. She was born Margaret O'Brien. Adopted at age 7. She's been lying for 58 years. James held his head. I had no idea. Nobody did. She hid it perfectly. But she put our son in a doghouse, James. She called him not real family. But she's adopted too. Tears welled up in James's eyes. What are you going to do? I looked at the envelope of evidence. She's hosting that family gathering next week, right? The Carter family tradition? Yes. She does it every year. Perfect. I'm going to attend. With Daniel. But she said. I don't care what she said. Daniel is family. And everyone is going to know the truth. James was silent. Then he nodded. Do what you need to do. I'll support you. I hung up. I went to Daniel's room. My son was sleeping. But his brow was furrowed. He was probably having a nightmare. I kissed my son's forehead. I promise, baby. She will never hurt you again. And I started planning. 1 week later. Margaret called. Emily, the family gathering is this Saturday. You and James should come. We'll be there. Good. But leave that boy at home. This is for real family only. I said calmly. Daniel is coming with us. Emily, I said. He's family. He belongs there. I hung up. Margaret was shouting something, but I didn't listen. Saturday. Margaret's mansion. Over 40 cars were parked. I held Daniel's hand. Ready, baby? Daniel looked up at me. I'm scared. I know. But I'm here. I'll protect you. James put his hand on my shoulder. Let's do this. We headed to the entrance. Opened the door. Over 40 relatives in the venue. Music was playing. Conversations were lively. And in the center, there was Margaret. Red dress. Perfect smile. Standing like a queen. Welcome, everyone. This is the Carter family tradition. We gather to celebrate our blood, our heritage. The relatives applauded. Margaret continued. Blood is thicker than water. The Carter bloodline is sacred. We are bound by. She saw me. The smile disappeared. Emily. I told you to leave him at home. The venue fell silent. Everyone looked at us. I gripped Daniel's hand and entered the venue. He's family. He belongs here. Margaret approached me. She lowered her voice. He's not family. He's adopted. This is for blood relatives only. I smiled. Blood relatives only? That's interesting, Margaret. I took out a laptop from my bag. Margaret's face changed color. What are you doing? Just sharing some family history. I had contacted the venue staff in advance. A projector was prepared. A screen came down. The relatives murmured. Emily, stop this right now. I connected the laptop. Everyone, please look at the screen. It appeared on the screen. 1967 adoption record. Margaret O'Brien was adopted into the Carter family. The venue froze. What? Margaret is adopted? That can't be real. Margaret screamed. That's a lie. That's fake. Turn it off. I said calmly. It's a public record. From the Adams County Courthouse. You were born Margaret O'Brien on March 15, 1960. I displayed the next image. Birth certificate. Margaret O'Brien, mother, Mary O'Brien single, father, unknown. The relatives murmured. She's been lying to us? For how many years? 58 years. Margaret ran toward me. Stop it. Stop it right now. But the relatives stopped her. Let her finish. I displayed the next image. Photo of 7-year-old Margaret. The day of adoption. In front of the courthouse with the Carters. This is you, Margaret. Age 7. The day you became a Carter. The day you were adopted into this family. Margaret collapsed to her knees. No. No. But I didn't stop. Next image. Photo of Daniel inside the doghouse. The venue gasped. This is what Margaret did to my son 2 weeks ago. Next image. Photo of Daniel eating dog food from a dog bowl. Oh my God. That's child abuse. I raised my voice. Margaret put my 7-year-old son in a doghouse. She made him eat dog food. She told him you're not real family. You're just a stray. She said blood is thicker than water. I looked at Margaret. But Margaret, you're adopted too. You were 7 years old when the Carter family took you in. You were born to a single mother in poverty. You had no father. The Carters gave you their name, their home, their love. And you've been lying about it for 58 years. Margaret started crying. Please, stop. Why did you do it, Margaret? Why did you put Daniel in a doghouse? Margaret said nothing. I displayed the final piece of evidence. Doctor's diagnosis. Daniel Carter, age 7. Dehydration, malnutrition, psychological trauma. Evidence of child abuse. Daniel was hospitalized. He has nightmares every night. He's afraid of being sent away. All because you hated yourself so much that you took it out on a 7-year-old child. The relatives stared at Margaret. How could you? You preached about family values, but you abused a child? You're a hypocrite. Margaret glared at me. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. You ruined me, I said coldly. No. You ruined yourself. You put my son in a doghouse. You called him not real family. But you're the one who's been lying for 58 years. You hate that you're adopted. So you took it out on an innocent child. I picked up Daniel. Let's go, baby. Daniel looked around the venue. Then looked at Margaret. He said in a small voice, Grandma, I just wanted you to love me. But you can't love anyone. Not even yourself. I'm sorry for you. The words of a 7-year-old child echoed through the venue. We started walking. The relatives made way. No one approached Margaret. She sat on the floor, crying. But no one comforted her. At the door, I turned around. By the way, the police have all of this evidence. And my lawyer has filed a lawsuit. See you in court, Margaret. We went outside. The door closed. I could hear Margaret's crying from inside. But I didn't look back. Daniel looked up at me. Mom, is it over? I hugged my son. Not yet, baby. But we're winning. We got in the car. I started the engine. I looked at Margaret's house in the rearview mirror. In that mansion, she's crying alone. The relatives will abandon her. The community will cast her out. Everything she built will collapse. James held my hand. You did it. We did it. But it's not over yet. Next is the courtroom. I looked forward. And I started driving. The day after the party. My phone kept ringing. Messages from relatives. Emily, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. Margaret lied to us for decades. We're cutting ties with her. Is Daniel okay? We want to apologize to him. And a call from the police. Mrs. Carter, we received multiple reports about Margaret. We're reopening the investigation. Thank you, Detective. Several family members came forward. They witnessed her behavior over the years. We have enough evidence now. That afternoon, police visited Margaret's house. I didn't know about it. But one of the relatives sent me a video. Footage of Margaret being handcuffed. Police officers put her in a car. Margaret was crying. But this time, no one sympathized. 3 months later. The courthouse. I stood at the witness stand. Mrs. Carter, please tell the court what happened. I took a deep breath. I returned from a 3-day business trip. I found my 7-year-old son in a doghouse. He was eating dog food from a dog bowl. He was dehydrated and malnourished. The jury members stared at me. My mother-in-law told him, "You're not real family. You're just a stray." She put him there for 3 days because he's adopted. And what did you discover about Margaret Carter? She's adopted too. She was born Margaret O'Brien. Adopted at age 7 by the Carter family. She's been hiding this for 58 years. The jury murmured. Next, Dr. Williams testified. Daniel was severely dehydrated when I examined him. He showed signs of malnutrition and psychological trauma. This is clear child abuse. Daniel's therapist testified. Daniel has nightmares every night. He's terrified of being abandoned. He asks his mother constantly, "Are you going to send me away?" The psychological damage is profound. Then it was Margaret's turn. She stood at the witness stand. She looked haggard. She wasn't wearing the red dress anymore. "Mrs. Carter, why did you put Daniel in a doghouse?" I don't know. You told him blood is thicker than water." "Why?" Because it's true." "But you're adopted too, aren't you?" Margaret looked down. "Yes." "So when you said blood is thicker than water, you were talking about yourself, weren't you?" I answered the question. Margaret started crying. "Yes. I hated it. I hated being adopted. I hated that I wasn't a real Carter. So when I saw that boy, I saw myself. And I hated him for it." The courtroom fell silent. "So you abused a 7-year-old child because you hate yourself?" I'm sorry. Tell that to Daniel." Sentencing day. The judge read the verdict. "Margaret Carter, you are guilty of child abuse, neglect, and emotional abuse. You put a 7-year-old child in a doghouse for 3 days. You made him eat dog food. You told him he's not family because he's adopted. But you yourself are adopted. This is not only child abuse, but profound hypocrisy." The judge looked at us. "I sentence you to 2 years in prison, suspended. 5 years probation. $50,000 fine to be paid to the Carter family. Mandatory counseling. And a permanent restraining order. You are never to contact Daniel Carter again." The judge continued. "Additionally, 500 hours of community service at an adoption agency. Maybe then you'll learn what family really means." Margaret collapsed. "Please. I'm sorry." "You should be sorry. But sorry doesn't erase the trauma you caused. Take her away." We left the courtroom. James hugged me. "It's over." Not yet. 1 week later. An article appeared in the local newspaper. Philanthropist Margaret Carter convicted of child abuse. Bloodline advocate was actually adopted. The article went viral. The charity organizations Margaret belonged to expelled her. The church community rejected her too. Her friends left, one by one. The relatives no longer contacted her. Margaret was completely isolated. She lives alone in the mansion. The phone doesn't ring. No visitors. Everything she built has collapsed. And one day, my phone rang from an unknown number. "Hello? Emily, it's Victoria." It was James's sister. "Victoria?" I need to apologize. For not speaking up. For letting my mother treat Daniel that way. I was a coward. I was silent. I want to make it right. Can I see Daniel? I want to apologize to him." I looked at James. He nodded. "Okay. Come over this weekend." "Thank you. Thank you so much." I hung up. James held my hand. "You're giving her a second chance? Daniel deserves to have family. Real family. People who love him. If Victoria is sincere, then yes. What about my mother?" I looked out the window. She had 58 years to deal with her pain. She chose to hurt others instead. That's on her. James nodded. You're right. She made her choice. And we started walking toward a new future. 6 months later. Our house living room. Daniel was sitting on the sofa. Therapist Dr. Anderson smiled. Daniel, how are you sleeping? Better. I only had one nightmare this week. That's great progress. Daniel looked at me. Mom stays with me until I fall asleep. I stroked my son's hair. Always. Daniel, you're doing wonderfully. Keep it up. After the therapist left, Daniel showed me a drawing. 3 people holding hands. This is us, Mom. Our family. I felt tears welling up. Yes, baby. This is our family. Real family? The realest family. That weekend, Victoria and her daughter Sophie came to visit. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. Hi, Emily. Thank you for giving me this chance. She was crying. Come in. In the living room, Victoria knelt in front of Daniel. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? Daniel looked at her. Long silence. Then he nodded. Okay. Victoria broke down crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sophie approached Daniel. Hi. I'm Sophie. Want to play? Daniel smiled. Okay. The 2 children ran to another room. I heard laughter. Victoria looked at me. My mother, she's alone now. Nobody visits her. She calls me every day, but I can't answer. That's your choice. Do you think she'll ever change? I looked out the window. I don't know. But that's not my responsibility anymore. My responsibility is here. This family. This home. 1 year later. Thanksgiving. The dining table in our new home. Turkey, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce. All homemade. Daniel sat down. James sat next to me. Victoria and Sophie were with us too. No one told anyone to eat on the floor. Mom, can I say grace? Of course, baby. My son put his hands together. We put our hands together too. Dear God, thank you for this food. Thank you for my mom and dad. Thank you for Aunt Victoria and Sophie. Thank you for teaching me that family isn't about blood. It's about love. Amen. Amen. The meal began. Laughter overflowed. The children ran around. This is family. After dinner, Daniel said to me, Mom, I'm not scared anymore. Good. Can we adopt a dog? I was surprised. A dog? Yeah. I want a dog to be part of our family. A real family member. I hugged my son. Tears overflowed. But this time, they were tears of happiness. Of course, baby. Let's go to the shelter next weekend. That night, the children were asleep. I looked out the window. Stars were shining. James put his hand on my shoulder. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, we did it. We built something real. Not perfect. But ours. And my mother? I hope she finds peace. But she has to find it herself. James kissed me. I love you, Emily. I love you too. Far away, Margaret is probably sitting alone. In the mansion. In an empty room. Counting what she lost. But we're looking forward. In a home filled with love. With real family. And that was enough.